Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to my channel. I'm sorry that I have been absent for over 2 weeks. I have had what was probably the worst flu of my life the day after Christmas, and along with my husband, Clark, that also had it, and we're still recovering, but we're here, and it did not destroy us. So we're back from what was sitting for days without eating and just drinking fluids and feeling all kinds of different symptoms and pain all over the body, inside and out. Unexplainable things going on that are still going on. There's right now I have a loss of hearing on this side and a very fine point of pain right here where a cancer surgery left a staple in my neck by the carotid artery, and it's radiating up through a back tooth and in the ear. I haven't been able to hear for 2 weeks. As a musician, this presents difficulties when I try to sing and play the piano. It's all one-dimensional. When my dog barks on that side of the yard, I hear it from this side, and I don't really know where the sounds are coming from. But this brings me to the topic of the fact that any of us can go at any time from this shell. Any of us can shed our shell at any time, and to be ready for that. For me, it was a real long-term thing with progressive illnesses and cancer, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, and just watching every single thing that can go wrong as you get to be elderly happen at a very young age, and to learn how to deal with each of those things that will eventually come up in everyone's life all at once within a period of 10, 20 years as the immune system dropped out and became near nothing for a period of 2 decades. So I had the fortunate opportunity to, with a young body, deal with those things and learn how to live with those different conditions that we all eventually get with our bodies as we age. Now, these things, when I say all that we get, it's not all. Nothing is ever all. There is always an exception to every single rule. There's always an exception to every law, to every circumstance, and to every experience that an individual has. And it's in these exceptions where you will find your path to healing and wholeness and spiritual growth, whichever way that may come out. The first thing I'd like to talk about, though, is when it's time to go. I did not know, but I am willing, when it's time, to just sit there and let it happen. I'm not going to, I may do the things required of me to so-called fight the progression of an illness leading to death. And I will do them with full faith and full belief that they will work if they're meant to work. But there's a part of us that needs to be glorifying the life and respecting ourselves and the Creator, that needs to say, if this is my time, then I happily and willfully go. And when these times happen, there may be a lot of pain associated with it, and there may be a lot of disappearance of faith and belief in a higher power that you just may, like I was for days, sitting there feeling absolutely nothing except the inside of my shell. My whole existence went down to an awareness of the inside of a painful, aging, deteriorating, teeth missing body. I actually became conscious of the inside of my mouth and did an inventory, such as the mastodons would do in nature before they would die. As soon as they got down to their last tooth for chewing grain, they would move to the location of death and be prepared to die there, knowing that without the ability to masticate their food, they would no longer be able to live. Same thing with human beings, although now we have blenders and we have protein drinks and things that artificially extend our lives beyond what nature would provide. Basic, primitive nature, because modern civilization and all of our creations is also part of our nature. So we do have these extra tools now that will extend life. And the question is, why? Why do I want to extend my life? Do I have any purpose left here in this shell, at this place, and at this time? And if the answer to that is, I don't know, then you just have to sit there and wait. Empty as you are, empty as I was, waiting for some kind of guidance, waiting for death, waiting for nothing, waiting for the kindness of a friend that might be inspired to take an initiative to show up with a bowl of chicken soup, which never happened. Not exactly the most welcoming of households for strangers to visit. And by strangers, I mean people that my spouse does not know. So I may have hundreds of friends that would wish to come and help and drop by and do things, but they do not feel the welcome or the freedom to do so because my spouse does not know them. And it may be uncomfortable for him to receive guests into the house when he's sick. So I have to respect all of these things and to understand that I am the sole caretaker besides the creator itself of my spouse and vice versa. And whatever deficiencies or abundancies are within that, so be it. It is my destiny that I have created, or that the Creator has created for us. And I must live there in it without judgment. So I sit empty, racked with pain, unable to eat, only following the advice of doctors, which is to take the Tamiflu and drink lots of liquids and make sure that there's like some Gatorade type of electrolytes in the liquids, as well as maybe some orange juice and some tea with echinacea and throat coat and some lemons from my lemon tree in the yard. Lots of vitamin C, all my other support vitamins and medications that I'm supposed to take daily managed to get done. The dogs managed to be taken care of. The birds managed to get fed and fresh water, cage clean. It was all I could do to stumble from task to task in my very limited days of 2 weeks of being extremely ill from this disease. The Tamiflu only lasted about 5 days, and then we switched to a Z-Pack of antibiotics because of the secondary colored mucus coming from nose and throat. We managed to prevent getting a head cold, but the antibiotics did help get away other things that were happening. Seemed to be a tooth infection and an ear infection and just a general kind of a respiratory infection. Normally, we do not use antibiotics for anything unless it's emergency. But this was the type of illness that kills people. And I didn't realize that the flu could be so horrible. Even though I've known about deaths from the flu forever and ever, but I was always like, these people must already be sick. Why would they die from a flu? Well, now I know. When you can't eat and you can't sleep and you can't breathe properly and you're just sitting there and everything is in pain and there's a fever going on for days and days of around 102. My technique was to let the fever burn for a few days because I understand that the fever is a natural function of our bodies and it needs to burn the virus. And some of the bacteria will burn as well during the high temperatures. So if you can let yourself have your fever for at least the first couple of days before you start taking medications to lower the fever, I think the more that you can let that fever burn and sweat it out, the better. You just have to make sure you're constantly hydrating. Another glass, another bottle, to keep replacing fluids and electrolytes. If you can get down any kind of food, sometimes a little bit of soup, even if it's just a few spoonfuls, has that salt and that broth in it that will help sustain you, and try to keep it down. So, and do get to a doctor and get the scripts. The Tamiflu will help, but you got to start it right away in the first 2 days of coming down with the flu. And then the Z-Pak helped as well. So we're both still on the mend in our end of the second week of this. And I'm just wishing to all of you that if anything should arise in your lives, each one of you will experience a life-threatening condition before you're 30. And you'll know what I'm talking about. If you try to have some kindness, try to be a good person, whatever that means. What I find that it means is once in a while thinking about the well-being of others and giving the thoughts about my own well-being a break. And I've done a lot of work. I've done an extreme amount of work to help to do good deeds for others. But at some point, surrounding yourself with people that are constantly in need of the help of others is also not a healthy environment, and you've got to cleanse it. And sometimes you have to step back away from those duties that you've gotten yourself into, being responsible for other people. And you've got to step back and say, I'm robbing them of their opportunity to be responsible for themselves. In a perfect world, we're all responsible equally for each other as ourselves. But right now, this is not the perfect world where everybody's doing that. Unless you live in a commune or a community where everybody is doing that. And then you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a beautiful way to live. Right now, we're not. Nobody really cares about anything that you have to say, anything that you think, any art or project that you are doing. The only reason anybody will care about any of that is if they can make some kind of benefit from it, or if it's so great that it inspires them. So it's always about them, their satisfaction, what they want. And this creates a difficult situation for survival of yourself in this world once you realize what kind of world you're living in and what you are surrounded by, which is everybody's more concerned about themselves than they are anybody else. And once you realize that about your own self, the darkness is so heavy that it can kill you. So this is where we need to practice repentance on a daily basis. And I don't know who you're repenting to. I have kind of released every single belief system that I've ever clung to explain things, because those belief systems in themselves are a dead-end trap that eventually goes back to it's not working because I care about myself more than anything else. And yes, people say, well, you've got to love yourself before you can love anybody else, but that doesn't work because it's a never-ending spiral of self-love. And there's no breaking out of that pattern if that's what you've gotten yourself into. So the illness has brought upon me a complete emptiness, a complete starting over from zero. And this is where I'm at. I'm starting from zero, which is quite appropriate for the new year and the new moon that just started on Saturday. So I love you, if there is such a thing as loving anybody. I do wish for you the same that I wish for myself, which is to find your eternal self, to find your higher self, to start referring to yourself as the creator instead of blaming the creator. I did a lot of that during this time too, is I blamed the creator, but at the same time I knew that I'm talking about myself. And I said, okay, so this is how you want things to go. You want, creator, you want to experience pain because I'm experiencing it, and you are experiencing it through me. So here it is. Here's my pain. Creator, you want to experience a total lack of faith. I'm experiencing a total lack of faith. I give it to you to experience. It's yours. You created it. Here it is. Enjoy it. Creator, you've created an emptiness, an awareness of nothing. Here it is. I don't even know who you are, what you are, or who I'm talking to. Here is the emptiness. Here's the not knowing. Here's the lack of faith. Here is the despair. Here's the wish for death. You can have it all because you would definitely want me to experience this. You want me to experience the lack, the poverty, the despair, the homelessness, the helplessness, the illness, the pain, the suffering, the complete vision of a selfish and harsh world. Here it is, Creator. Thank you for giving that to me, and now I give it back to you since I am you, and you have no choice but to accept it and to experience what you are giving me to experience. I have tried very hard my whole life to help others as well as myself and to bless the entire world with creative inspiration. Nobody wants it. And that is a gift from you to me and from me to you as we are one. So go ahead and keep blessing those that do so-called wicked, evil things in the world. Go ahead, give them everything. Give them happiness. Give them every house and car and possession that you so abundantly bestow upon these people. In our faces, in the faces of the righteous, the ones who have believed and trusted and followed and had faith in you their whole life and tried to do actions that are holy and good and helpful and kind, who always felt empathy for their fellow men and the situations appearing around them. You've taken everything from us and you've given it to the selfish, to those whose desires for self-fulfillment just keep growing bigger and bigger, and you give them everything they want. I give that back to you, Creator. I'm not judging, but in all appearances, you are evil. In all appearances, Creator, you support evil. You support selfishness. In my experience, Creator, you support death, destruction, pain, suffering, loneliness, abandonment, betrayal, hatred, selfishness, self-gratification, huge ego. These are the things of this world that you support, Creator, and I give it all back to you. I do not want a part of your world. I do not want a part of this world. I'm done playing your game, Creator. Your game is tainted, and it's an unfair game, solely meant for the wicked to win and the good to die and suffer. You have it all, Creator. And the Creator that I may be speaking to right now may not be the ultimate Creator. So keep that in mind, that above the ruler of this world is another. So whoever you pray to in this world might just be that evil, ego blessing entity that perpetuates this world in the way that it is. Let it go. Give it all back to it. Tell it, I do not want a part of what you have created. It's corrupt. Take everything you have created and get out of my life. I'm seeking the one above you, does not dwell in this world, is not part of this world of fractured light, manifesting at low vibrations, where the lower the vibration, the more it gets, the more it manifests. I'm not part of that world. And you may be called Satan or the sun, but those who worship the sun instead of the ultimate Creator, if you're worshiping any entity of this world, it's not the prime entity. So let's get beyond that, everyone. There's a new journey awaiting us, and we've got to start with empty. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. We're going to see what happens from this point forward. I surrender all. I want no part of this world. I love you, everyone, for whatever that means, for whatever that comes from beyond this world. That's what I mean. An eternal love that bypasses everything that we see, hear, feel, smell, think, taste about this world. Something beyond it. It's time now to let it all go and move beyond.